Okay, let's just keep this show moving right along here. Today is Monday, January the 17th, 2021. It's time for your COVID-19 analysis, Sweden. Let us have a favor to ask. If you're watching this video on YouTube today, folks, click the like button next to the video, okay? Okay, okay, good. Good. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually retired. This is a all those R programming and stuff. Right now, it's a hobby for me. That's all it is. So it's like I just have this passion for data, this passion for data analytics. For some reason, ever since I was a kid, I like numbers like this. But anyway, okay. So are you a CPA? Okay, very good. That's CPA is always a good thing to have on your resume, I think. Okay, so how long have you been at your current job? Okay, you don't get MLK. All right. So okay, Sweden. Let's just take a look here at your COVID-19 vaccine data. Okay, CPA. That's a okay. Good. Let me just see. I've I've used SQL on and off for like the last 20 years or so. I mean, there's no consistent pattern, but like I said, I'm actually working my way through a book on SQL right now. Uh, I've always had the basic understanding of the select queries and the wheres and the stuff like that. Uh, but so in terms of are you using anything like any visualization tools like Tabula or Power BI? So let's take a look at Sweden's vaccine data here. You can see Sweden has administered 18.2 million doses. Okay, Power BI. Yeah. Um, Power BI, I think is much better than Tabula. I've looked at them both. You know, out of the box, you could connect to SQL databases right out of the box with Power BI, and you can't do that with Tabula. Okay, and I'm a big SQL database guy. Yeah, the book I use is oh, this isn't good. What was that? Fortune, hang on a second here. Let's see something here. Pictures. Oh, let me see something here. Library. I'm using this one right here called SQL for Data Analytics. Okay, and one of the reasons I got it was because one, it's pretty thorough, but the other thing is the version on Kindle is like $12. The printed version was like 24. Okay, so $12 for a book like this is too good to pass up. And now the only thing about this is the author of this book uses Postgres database. But 99% of what she said, the author says here, the code here, will work on any database. Okay, Oracle, Sybase, MySQL, SQL, SQL Server. 90%, 85 to 90% of the code the author uses here will work on any database. Now she does pull in the author does there's a couple cases when the author does do Postgres specific commands, but they can almost always be translated over to core SQL. Uh, uh, the for this book here, SQL is the end result. It's not part of a chain. So as far as I can tell, the book doesn't use anything like Power BI or Tabula. She shows you how to create more detailed reports and various types of reports. Uh, we use it gives you more like sort of like how to create reports, more detailed reports in SQL. Well, of course, you probably wouldn't do that. You probably won't do that. What you'll do is you'll connect to the database as Power BI, and you do all your work in Power BI. Okay. uh, but yeah, but nonetheless, the book is pretty thorough. It's pretty thorough. I mean, as I'm sure you realize, is SQL is a fairly small language in terms of syntax. Okay, you can learn pretty much 90% of what you need to know in watching an hour video, just simply because it isn't that much. There isn't that much. Uh, it isn't that large of a language. But it's. I think I said before. I'll say it again. Probably if you go out and you look for like analytic jobs, SQL is probably the skill that shows up the most. You know, I haven't actually searched on job sites for like Tabula or Power BI, but you get a lot of hits on SQL. Okay, and while you can search for things like you can search for things like Tabula and Power BI also. All right, and but if you search for things like Python, most of the Python jobs are developer jobs and not data analyst jobs, and you don't see a lot of R. Of course, R is probably buried in a job description someplace, so it doesn't really show up that much. But yeah, like I say, this is a pretty good book, particularly at 12 to 15 bucks. Okay, it's a very good book for 12 to 15 bucks. Very thorough. Okay. So, do you know what type of database you're going to be connecting to? Is it Oracle? Is it Sybase? Is it SQL Server? Okay, so you can see here what Sweden has administered 18.2 million doses of vaccine data. Let's see, so far 7.8 million people received the first shot, and 7.4 million people have been fully vaccinated in Sweden, which gives us a first shot vaccination rate of 76.6% and a full vaccination rate of 73.5% in Sweden. Hey, Roy, how you doing, friend? Good to see you. I'm doing well, my friend. I'm just chatting with this other person here about SQL and stuff like that. Talking about SQL books and all kinds of fun stuff. Wrapping up my COVID-19 analysis for today. Uh, we got Sweden and the U.S. to go. So, so what are you up to today, Roy? Uh, okay. So now let's take a look at the vaccine or the actual COVID-19 data for the U.S. Okay. Roy, is that natural language processing? Is that what you're doing? Okay, that's right. Yeah. Now, you have to remind me, Roy. Where do you live again? Egypt. Okay, I should make a note of that. Okay, good, 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 good. The other person on the stream is actually from Kentucky here in the U.S., which is actually a state south of me. I live in a U.S. state called Ohio. Kentucky is south of me, across the Ohio River. Okay. So, so what time is in Egypt right now? Here in the U.S., it's like 4:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which we like to say. Well, you can see Sweden's cases are not starting off very good here. Okay, sure, sure. 11 p.m. So, so how did work go today, Roy? Work or school, anyway. Fighting about, hey, fighting with or about, or both. Well, wait a second. You don't have any labeled data. What, what happened to the labels? And they won't train. Well, that's a question. What do you? Hmm. So, so tell me again, what does this data consist of? Oh, messaging. So you're trying to do messaging then? SMS messaging, you mean? Wait a minute. How, do you mean any data or any good data? Hang on, I'll be back in like 5 minutes. I got to go to the little boys' room here. Yeah, it's okay. Where I leave off here? Am I still hooked up here? Let's see something here. Okay, good. Here we go. Okay, I'm back. You know, I often wonder what do you do if there is no good data? All the data you have is corrupt, it's bad, it's dirty. What do you do then? You simply put a big asterisk and say, oh, by the way, this data really sucks. So don't take it, take it with a grain of salt, as we say here in the U.S. Yep, that's exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Suppose there is no good data to work with. You clean and stuff, but it's obviously there's chunks of data. I'm not really sure what you mean by imbalance. I just mean you look at the data. There's lots of missing values. There, you got, just I mean, what do you do if you can't? What do you do if you can't find any good data to work with? Do you simply say, well, you just say, well, there's a caveat today that says this data really sucks, and unfortunately, this is the only data we had to work with. And let's take a look at Sweden's COVID-19 data right now here. Huh. Okay, that makes sense, Roy. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe one of these days someone will actually pay me to work with data. Although I'm not really searching that hard for a job right now, but you never know. Okay, so we can see here Sweden's cases are not starting off the year very good. Okay. Now, just as a reminder, we're only looking at the previous 365 days worth of data here. Oh, it'd be some type of data analyst position if yeah, data analysis. Uh, it's obviously my first choice would be an R programming position. Although SQL would be fine also. SQL, I'm not actually applying for any jobs. It's like I'm slowly, convincing myself I want to go back into the marketplace again. It's like I said before, I, I'm I'm on what Social Security or a pension paid by the government. Okay, so they pay me X number of dollars. Well, thanks so much for the kind words about that. So I get some money from the government every month, and I live with my dad. So yeah, I don't make a lot, but I'm doing okay. But I keep having this urge to want to test myself in the real world. See how much I really know in the real world on a job situation. But like I say, I'm slowly putting together a portfolio. I'm thinking about putting up a profile on LinkedIn, or maybe a resume or on something on Indeed or Monster Board or Monster or something like that. But it's going to it's going to be a rather slow process for me because it's part of me that says yeah, well, I thought about that. I mean, there's sites like Upwork and Fiverr and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. But it takes time to actually to get to really start to build up a market for yourself on a site like that. Because you're competing against people who are already there. And I've seen stories where people said, well, they basically did the first couple jobs for nothing, just so they can get a recommendation on the site. But I don't know. Plus I don't handle rejection well, so But what I would be most interested in, really only interested in, would be a remote job. I don't want to drive through rush hour anymore to work. All Indian PPL do all jobs for free. What is? I'm not sure what that means exactly. What's PPL? people. Oh, Indian people do it all jobs for free. Well, and all, honestly, you probably do it for a lot less than you make in the U.S. Okay. Uh, I mean, there are, I remember many years ago, I was living in the U.S. state of Colorado. I went to this IT meeting, and I started talking to this one guy who was a recruiter, but he recruited people from overseas, like India and China and stuff like that. And he says, "Yeah, but you know what? The same job that we pay an American for, for say $20, someone from China or India would only get $10 per hour for the same job that I'd be doing in the U.S. And that's why that's a sad commentary on America that we put people from other countries ahead of our own employees, but that was just the way it was back in the late 2000s. It's probably still true today. I'm sure there are Indian companies whose whole business is remote, is outsourced data. You know, really. Well, yeah, but of course, $1,000 in Egypt may be I'll be rich and well, that's a very good point. Also, I mean, yeah, you make the equivalent of $15 an hour, and you're living in India. That could be a lot of money. Like you said, in Egypt also. I'll just say that the government pays me about $1,000 a month on Social Security. Although technically they don't pay me, I earned it over all the years, all the over the 30 years I toiled in the marketplace. So yeah, you actually they're actually giving you when you give you social when you give when you get Social Security, you're basically getting the money you put in for 20 years or so. Okay, uh, yeah, third world country, uh, but it's no, not really. That's like $12,000 a year. No, it'd be very hard for me to live on my own on $1,000 a month. Okay, simply because housing's too expensive and food's too expensive. Uh, I mean, so anyway, let's take a look at Sweden here. You can see Sweden's cases are not starting off the year very good. Deaths are looking a little better for Sweden, although we need to remind ourselves about Sweden's numbers. That is back here in the middle of summer, last summer. Yeah, 2.5 thousand a month. We what? Yeah. Yeah. So if you made 2,500, if you gross to, of course, remember you're not going to get to keep all 2,500, right? You go pay taxes. Uh, any more, boy. So 2,000 a month would be $24,000. Okay, so it'd be 24 plus 12, be 37,000 a year. You could probably get by on $37,000 a year. Now you wouldn't be able to own your own house. You probably couldn't buy a new car, but you could still live. Yeah. But the problem right now is the businesses are having problems getting people to work. Uh, because you have people who are making more on unemployment due to the you have people making more on unemployment due to COVID-19 than they were actually making on their job. Okay, plus you get free medical from the government also. So basically, it's like, well, why should I get a job making $25,000 a year working when I can get the same $25,000 a year and not pay any taxes on it because it's unemployment benefits. Why go back to work? You know, if you go and you look on YouTube and you search for things like the Great Resignation, it's called. Suppose there's this whole up to 25% of the people. Suppose some as much as 20 to 20% of the people of the workforce was going to quit their jobs. Uh, and the reason being, well, COVID-19 made them, reevaluate their lives, and so they quit working. Now, some of those people, most of us are probably going to change jobs, but there's some people who'll quit and they won't go back to work. Okay, and that really is the whole point. It's like and of course, if the people don't work, they don't pay any taxes. Okay, no taxes means no government services. It means the government doesn't have any money to run on. Doesn't make any sense, does it? But you know, you talk to prospective businesses, and they say we can't get people to work. And it affects big things and little things. You know, the grocery store doesn't have people to stock their shelves, so some of the shelves are empty. It's not that there's a shortage of goods. It's just they can't get anybody to load and unload trucks. I mean, I went to a little restaurant called Wendy's here. It's a fast food restaurant, and I ordered an ice cream, and I looked around. I didn't see any plastic spoons. And I said, where are the spoons? He says, well, the trouble is we can't get people to load the truck, so we don't have any spoons. And it's not only spoons, it's other things. It's, somewhere along the line, this idea came along that you're entitled to stay at home. You're entitled not to work. And that certainly wasn't my generation or my dad's generation's attitude. But anyway, let's just wrap up some reports here. That's enough of my droning today about the situation in America. But anyway, these spikes here are numbers for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So this means we don't actually know. We don't actually know what the daily numbers are, but we do know what the trend line tells us. And Sweden had a big long trend line down to here, a little hiccup here, a dip, a climb here. And now it appears that cases are starting to fall back down in Sweden. And we can see these 14-day average here. So for the 14-day period ending January the 14th, Sweden was averaging 19,440 cases per day. In terms of deaths, and this is a bit of a concern, you're starting to see a spike up in COVID-19 deaths in Sweden. Okay? And again, we can come over here. We can see what was the last number. Well, the last number was 16.7 deaths per day on average as of January the 16th. This is weekly cases. This is weekly deaths. Deaths are still remaining fairly low. You can see here, which is good news, below 100 deaths per week for Sweden. Monthly cases, unfortunately, most of the countries I look at are having a big spike in cases in January. But the good news is the deaths are relatively low. Well, this line here would be 250 deaths for the month. Okay. So anyway, that concludes the report for Sweden for today. We have one more report to go. That, of course, is the U.S.